welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be focusing on a couple of different things. I'm going to give you the bowls to what I just played, and if you've kind of followed this channel for some time, you probably already know what it is, so it's not going to be a big surprise or reveal. We're going to look at a clip of Pandit Nayan Ghosh playing this exact thing, and then I'll give you the bowls right after that. And then lastly, we're going to discuss the topic of practice. There's different levels to it. I'm going to explain the level I was practicing at maybe 6 months ago, what I'm doing now, and what I'm going to do in the future. And this is something all of you can definitely apply to your routine as well. Now, before I get to any of that, there's a link in the description to a community I've made on Skool. This is a place for people that want to invest in themselves, pay for classes, see some progress this year, be held accountable, stuff like that. And most importantly, have fun while learning. So if all that sounds good to you, click the link and join us. Now, let's first take a look at the clip of Pandit Nayan Ghosh, and then we'll kick things off from there. So let's take a look. So really fast, really, advanced. So we're going to basically talk about the most likely way how he's able to do that, how he's able to play that fast and just really do it on command whenever he wants. We're going to get into exactly that. But before that, here are the bowls. Now, this is very similar to exactly what he played. He may have played it slightly differently, but it goes like this. Dha tete ghere naga dhine taga, dha tete ghere naga dhine taga, na tete kere naga. So, like this. A bit faster. So sometimes I do make a change. I bring the baya back a little bit earlier in the kali. I find that easier as you go faster because playing all those cuts can be a little bit challenging. So now we're going to look at, the best way that you can really practice this and just practice in general. So there's kind of 3 levels to this that I've kind of understood. The first is the method that will really get you the most progress in the short term. Let's say you really want to improve in the next 3 to 6 months. Then I recommend doing this method. So this is my piece of paper where I write down all the compositions I'm currently practicing. Now, I have a lot on here because I'm teaching a lot of people. They could have questions, so my hand has to be ready for virtually anything. So I have all this on there. You pick as well, your favorite things that you like to practice. Don't make it way too long, but just definitely have them and cover all the different bowls. And then after that, what you should do is, and this is the first level of practice, is that do them all, find an order to practice them in, like which one do you practice the slowest, which one's the fastest. And then I use Lara Box, and I just practice for about an hour or two, mostly 2 hours. And the speed just goes up slowly, and I know exactly which composition to play at which speed. For example, I used to go from like 60 BPM to around 120, 130. So it's a pretty big range to practice in. At 60, I would practice some in Tisra, and then at 130 and all that, I'd just do dhere dhere. So that's basically my first way I would say of practicing. Now, this is good for, this is kind of that if you don't trust yourself, you'll practice this way. Because this means that you're practicing everything a little bit, because you kind of have this fear that if you go even one day without practicing it, you'll kind of lose it out of your hand, or it just won't come that easily. So this is a method that, does kind of show that you're not very trusting of yourself. So as you get more trusting, there's a more advanced way that I'll suggest to practice. But anyways, this method that I just outlined will get you the most progress in 3 to 6 months. I did this between August to not even really August. August to maybe January, August to December. And I made a lot of progress then. As also with uploading these videos, I was always playing something, different in the videos. I made a lot of progress between those 6 months. Then I realized that, I can kind of trust myself more. I want a slightly deeper connection with the instrument. So this is the slightly more advanced way that I practice now. And there's actually the way that Pandit Nayan Ghosh and Pandit Anindo Chatterjee, the way they practice. I'll get to that even after this. So this new method is now on this piece of paper, and there's a hole in it because I think my dog stepped on it and kind of broke it. Anyways, so there's 5 days of practice that I have. And each day I practice all the different bowls, basically. For example, on day 1, I'm doing a tisra dhat dikitatak gere dere 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 kitatak dere kitadhat dere kitatak dinigin tak tak dinigin for dere dere. For baya ghetak ghetak dine nana gine nati ghetak dine nana gine. For good for baya. For dinigin tak tak dinigin tak dine. So a lot of tisra. There's a terikita exercise. There's the famous Punjab composition. There's a terikita rela in that. So I'll do each of these for about 18 minutes. It comes out to about 2 hours. And that's kind of my way of practicing this. Instead of practicing all maybe 25 things for 5 minutes, I'm going a little bit deeper and doing each thing for about 15 to 18 minutes. So this is better because the last way I was saying to practice, by the time you kind of switch over to what you're practicing, let's say you're doing each thing for 5 minutes, you have to look at your list, see what you're practicing. You don't even truly get 5-6 minutes of practice every day. It's more like 3 or 4. You're changing speed. Maybe you'll get up and get more tea or something. So it's kind of not really the best practice. So this I'm going a little bit deeper on. And I found my tabla playing has really improved. I'm more trusting, meaning that when I know I push myself for that 18 minutes, I know that things will just come. I don't have to really, I don't really have many thoughts of doubt. Like, will I be able to play this at this speed like I used to have when I was doing the practice everything every day routine. So this is, brought some real improvement to my playing. I'm more relaxed. But now I'm going to talk about the ultimate routine, which is what all the masters do, which I'm going to slowly switch to as soon as I have more trust. Will that be 2 months, 3 months? It'll definitely be soon. Basically what they do, and this is almost wizardry, is they'll play one thing for like 2-3 hours. And this is as far as I understand. I know it's a minimum of half an hour depending on their time, but at least 2-3 hours. They'll go so deep into that. For example, let's say they're playing dere dere. They'll connect that with everything. They'll see the way I just listed 5 different things in it. They'll do dere dere, but they'll figure out a way to work out their baya in it. In fact, they're not even really thinking about, let me get all the bowls in. They're just so flowing that it could take them anywhere, and they're just kind of along for the ride. But they are going very, very deep in their practice. And they probably cover all the bowls at least every week. And then when they play, they can just play it on command. If you've seen Pandit Nayan Ghosh play, especially when he was younger, and even today to some point, he just looks that like he's walking around in the park, just enjoying himself while he's playing so fast. I know there wasn't a video to what I just showed, but he just is so relaxed. He's just kind of like looking around the room, just, gazing. You can't even tell anything is straining him at all. So that's the kind of level that they're practicing at. And that does require a lot of trust. What scares me is that I feel if I'm not practicing a variety of things, how am I going to create content on different bowls regularly? But it's that trust that will come with time. So these are kind of the 3 levels of practice, I would say. The first is, and also one thing I should mention is that in the short term, the first method will show you the best results. But if you're thinking more long term, say I'm about to turn 30 in like a month and a half. So from 30 to 40, if I want to make the most progress, I'll go super deep on everything, like 2 hours just on one thing, hyper focused. And let's not even forget another thing, that if you're hyper focused for that long, imagine what that'll do for the rest of your life. We live in an age of short form content, and actually short form content's getting kind of old. People's attention span is 8 seconds now. So imagine in a world like that, you're able to focus for 2 hours. Just imagine what that would do in terms of your career, in terms of just your life overall. You would just be like a god amongst men almost if you're able to do that. So now briefly, I'm going to get into my current practice. And I talked in the last video how I break it up into 6-minute segments, and I raise the speed by 15 BPM. I practice it slow where I, kind of accent the pain points, you can call them, the bowls that I struggle with. I do that. Then I go a faster kind of decent speed that's a little bit tough, but I can get more repetitions in. And then the fast speed, which is just really difficult, and it's more about kind of pretending you're a master already. I know that sounds crazy, but just try it. You'll be really surprised at how it goes. So we're going to pick what I covered today, and I'm going to show you the 3 speeds that I practice this at. So here's the first one. So I would start that at 99 BPM. So let's now switch cameras. Let me show you my hands. And the first speed is at 99 BPM. I'll show you kind of a few variations that I do that work on, certain aspects, like the dhine in this one, the tete. For this particular rela, you want to keep the tete more on the outside of the syahi. So that scares me a little bit because, I always want a heavy tete and terikete. So keeping it on the outside and still getting some weight is something I work on. But anyways, it's probably just easier if I show you than just ramble on. So here we go. So here's the first speed. So this speed, this is how I would start if I was just starting my practice. Let me just get some powder. So here we go. This is a single speed, by the way. I'm about to go double. So notice I'm already kind of working on the dhine, but this is it in double now. So basically, I'm working on the dhine because that's a bowl that I think really you need to play loudly when you're going faster. The next, I'll maybe do some things for the tete and terikete. So something like this maybe. This is a good slow speed that I'm going at. Now, like I said, I raise it by 15 BPM. So this now gets to a good practice speed. So we're now at 114. So this is how that sounds at this. So. So I can still do some of those paltas that I was doing, to work on the dhene and the terikite. They're a bit less pronounced, but I can still fit them in at this speed. That's kind of what you want to look for. Then something for maybe terikite, so something like or but still a manageable speed. You can still express yourself creatively. Now, this is the speed that I would say is too fast for me. This is now 129. You'll hear a lot of tabla players play this speed in solos. So this is the speed that you want to get to eventually, but you still play it just to get the muscle memory in. So you can tell a bit of a loss in clarity, but it's still good to hold this for, 5-6 minutes like I do. So yeah, pretty difficult to play at that speed. I can try to do a palta, but there's really not much I can do. I can try the one with the dhenes in it. So that would go something like this. So yeah, I was a little bit behind on the Lara in those demonstrations. I think I was starting on the first beat, but I didn't want to waste the whole cycle, starting over again. So that what I just did, I usually don't do when I upload videos. I actually showed you me playing poorly because that's what practice is supposed to be. If you're sitting down and you just play what's easy and comfortable, that is just not practicing. So if you're just comfortable, you just have to be uncomfortable is my point at some point. And that right there at the end was really not easy. Hold that for 5-6 minutes, then go back to the original speed just at the end. If you have doubts that, this is the right way of doing things, go back and see how loose your hand is. You're actually bringing things back to your hand when you do it that fast. What you want to do is you want to get the idea to your brain what it'd be like to play that fast. What kind of, not corners to cut, that is one way you could put it, but what movements to kind of cut out. What are you doing? There's a phrase, you're doing too much, which is mostly everyone that's playing, they think they're playing too slow. There's just extra movements in their playing. So when you do that fast portion, you naturally just figure out, hey, I was maybe... my dhene, I was going out way here. You can't do that. You just got to keep it compact. So you will bring things. Now, this is something that for a long time on this channel, I used to say, just only practice slow. Don't practice fast, But I think in this 2/3 ratio, one slow, one medium to fast, and then one too fast, you'll really get the most benefit, in this current paradigm until, of course, you get to the point where 2-3 hours, you're just doing the same thing. Then, you're practicing everything at that point. Slow, a little bit faster, even faster, way too fast. You're just doing all of it. You're playing the composition forwards, backwards, everything. Even I don't know, many of you guys have maybe seen Pandit Nindo Chatterjee. Sometimes he plays his dere dere backwards, just like as a joke, I guess. But I think, I kind of find that as a symbol that he really, when he practices, he goes deep. He'll play things backwards, like literally backwards, So, I mean, I guess you can only think of something like that when you're playing Dere Dere for a long time. That would never occur to someone doing just 5 minutes or 15 minutes. So these are kind of concepts that, you should definitely apply to your learning, your playing. Now, really what I just shared to you is exactly what I'd share to any of my students that pay. There's nothing I'm like holding back. This is literally it. This is exactly it. So again, if all this sounds interesting to you and you want live feedback, you don't just want tutorials where you kind of are confused maybe at points on what to do or how you sound personally. You want live feedback, then click the link below and join the Skool community, and I'll message you from there and see what your goals are and if you're interested in learning. Thank you.